Well, in the next few hours, Black Stars will come up against Portugal. This possibly is the biggest World Cup of our lives. Why? Because it's coming in the midst of an economic crisis. So imagine what happens tomorrow if we win against Portugal. And if you want to get a sense of what it means, just look at what it meant to Saudi Arabia when they beat Argentina. There was a national holiday declared the next day. It's only football that does that. If we win tomorrow, trust me, it will ease a lot of our current economic pain. People may forget that they are hungry. Football does that. So let's go in search of an upset. And by the way, where is the fever? It's just, it's just less than 24 hours to the biggest game of our lives. In the context of everything that has happened in this country, I am not feeling it. I don't know about you, but I'm just not feeling it. Let's see if at the end of this program, we begin to sense and get into the mood for tomorrow. People have even forgotten that Black Stars are playing tomorrow. Yes, we are playing Portugal. The likes of Ronaldo, Fernandes, etc. are going to be playing against our boys. So let's go in search of an upset. Here you have it. This is the clash that will define our day tomorrow. And coincidentally, the budget, the most consequential budget, possibly in our lifetime, is also going to be read tomorrow. So two big things are happening. I bet you, if we win this game, we will remember what was read in the budget. I mean, that's how important football is to Ghanaians. And on the back of that win in that friendly before the World Cup started, a lot of people now beginning to feel that the Black Stars are up to a lot more than just the talk and people switching nationalities, etc. Ronaldo possibly may be missing. We are praying, of course, he's missing tomorrow for whatever reason. After we fired him from Manchester United, he's not going to be there. But then our boys are ready to face him. Here we are, Ghana versus Portugal. The last 4 games we played against them, it hasn't been good, But remember we played Switzerland. If you look at what we've been doing in the lead up to the tournament, this is what Ghana has been doing, right? We won 2-0 against Switzerland, and the Swiss are a very good team, by the way, very good team, and we beat them. And if you watch the way we played that day, it says a lot. And then we came up against Nicaragua, and again we won again. And then we came up against Brazil. They beat us. Okay, but that time we're in the formative stage, right? We put a team together not too long ago. And then Nigeria, the big one. We had the show here on this. That's when we qualified for the World Cup. So in the lead up to it, we haven't done badly. But for me, I'm looking more at this game. This is the last game. The last game before the World Cup where we beat arguably one of the strongest teams going into the World Cup. If you look at the quality of the players they have, they're far more resourced than us. We won against them 2-0, and we played well too. We were deserving winners there. And then look at Portugal. They come up against Brazil. I'm looking at these 2 last games, right? This was absolutely meaningless. This 4-0. In fact, Bruno Fernandes himself, who one of those very prominent Portuguese players, said himself that the Nigeria game, didn't have enough meaning because Nigeria, they were not playing for anything. They were not in the World Cup. So they were not preparing for anything. And so they beat them 4-0. It tells you very little about the Portuguese. But that's also very dangerous, right? Because then you're not sure how they will change in the real match, right? But we went quite heavy on this. And then they came up against Spain, and Spain beat them. Spain is a very formidable team. Just watch what they've done today in the World Cup, demolishing a team in the World Cup. They came up against Czech Republic, another good team, by the way, and won 4-0. And then Switzerland beat them, right? So focus here. The last 4 games, Switzerland beat Portugal, and we beat Switzerland, right? How much of this says anything about what will happen tomorrow? But here's my warning, though. All this, you call it preseason. It's like a preseason. In preseason, some teams do fantastic. And then when the season starts, they begin to struggle. I'll give an example. In the EPL, if you're using preseason form, Liverpool should be on top of the table. But Liverpool demolished City in the preseason. They did very well, Community Shield, etc. Right? And even Manchester United did very well in the preseason. We beat Liverpool, etc. But we have faith. Well, Newcastle is third. I don't even remember who they play in the preseason. So that should be caution, right, as we approach tomorrow. And then you look at Qatar, and you look at our group, which is a very strong group, by the way. We play the Portuguese tomorrow. On the 28th, we'll come up against South Korea. And then we'll come up against, this is the game everybody's looking for, right? This is the game. This is a revenge game. Revenge is one of those meals best served cold. And we want to dish it out to them on the 2nd of December. This is a Friday game. And so this is going to be very interesting, that Friday. And you look at the lineup here, right? If we look at the lineup that we are just expecting to come up against the boys. You know, Russia 2014, and then Ghana versus Portugal. This lineup is very interesting. If you go way back, Achu is no longer in there. You have a few of the boys still in there. We haven't maintained a few. Of course, like you is still in there. A few of the boys are coming in. Jan, of course, is gone. So this is going to be the last time we faced them, it's going to be a very interesting. Ronaldo was in there, right? Ronaldo is still in there. They've also lost a few of their key players. But whatever it is, Ghana-Portugal is going to be very exciting. And if you go back to the last game we played against them in a World Cup, as expected, Portugal, better possession than us, 54%. I mean, it's important to show you this, but I believe it doesn't mean much for the game tomorrow. It does to show you that we played them before, and we were, fairly even match. Because if you look at the stats here, I mean, not too bad. If you look at goal attempts, we had 18 attempts, they had 19. And this was when Ronaldo was playing at his peak, right? So we shouldn't be too fazed by this. We've seen upsets already. We can pull one as well. And they come to South Korea. We played them before, head-to-head. And this is just going back to the last time we played them. We beat them 4-0. So that should give us a bit of confidence in that, as you see there. So yeah, if you look at head-to-head, we're doing pretty well against South Korea. If you look at Uruguay, everybody remembers this in the World Cup that was played on the continent of Africa, when we were nearly on the brink of qualifying to the semi-final, and Suarez, the hand of the devil, held that ball, and we got into the penalty, and Asamoah Gyan famously missed it. So we're going to build up to tomorrow. My guests are joining me right now on Zoom. Many of them joining me from Qatar already. We're going to try and see if we can get a fever back. I'm going to speak to them and get a sense what the camp is like. George Addo Jr. is joining me via Zoom from Qatar. You see also joining me right now, Gary Al-Smith, also in Qatar. My good friend of mine, Sani Dara, is also joining me, the FA spokesperson, who will also connect with us right after this break. Stay with us. Gary Al-Smith, George Addo Jr., two of my colleagues in Qatar. Sani Dara, former GFA Communications Director, and of course worked with CAF extensively, also joins us right now. I want to go to the lads in Qatar very quickly. George and Gary, I know today the coach has been addressing a news conference. George, let me start with you. Are we really ready for Portugal?
Yeah, I guess in a football game, you can never be really ready, but I think that the Black Stars have prepared themselves adequately to play against Portugal. It's been a bit long road. I've had the opportunity of seeing the Black Stars at very, very close range, right from the pre-World Cup friendlies. I had the privilege to be in France and in Spain to see the Black Stars play against Brazil and Nicaragua. Then I was in Abu Dhabi as well to witness the Black Stars play against Switzerland. And here in Qatar, I've seen a few training sessions, and I can say the team is getting very ready. One of the key points for me about the Black Stars and why I think they're ready is that the quality of the camp has been going up all the time. They're learning a lot about themselves, because one of the main problems coming into this competition was we had assembled a group of young men, very talented, but we didn't have quite a cohesive unit. I think in terms of having a cohesive unit, they have worked so hard to come to that. Lovely partnerships are building around the grounds, and it's evident when you get onto the training pitch and you see the way the boys are going about it. That, I think, should put us in good light and a good stead ahead of the game against Portugal. So I'd say we're about 75% ready for the game. The rest will be God and taking opportunities when we get them.
Gary, you also in Qatar. I'm sitting here in Ghana wondering, on the ground, how does it feel the night before the game? Do you get that fever? Do you get a sense that the boys are ready?
Oh yeah, I mean, George and I are both here. So in our reports that we have filed, we have expressed similar sentiments that for me personally, I absolutely love the vibe I'm feeling. I know a lot of fans say that, oh, as for journalists, you say the same thing all the time before every tournament. You know, oh, the camp spirit is good, preparation is going well, and then they go and lose. Apparently, it's the same thing we said before the Africa Cup of Nations started. Was it then that I think the captain said it was one of the best camps we had had? I think that was 2019, and Andrea, you said the 2019 camp was one of the best camps we had had, and then we know what happened with that particular competition. But we can only say that Evans, yeah, they look happy, they seem happy. In interviews, we've seen some really fraught times in the past, but they do seem happy. And from where we stand as sort of independent journalists, maybe Henry Asantichum, who is properly ensconced with the team, and Mr. Ibrahim Sanidara can give us the true picture about whether they are happy or sad. But from what we see, they seem prepared, they seem ready, and hopefully Ghana will have the third big surprise at this World Cup after Saudi Arabia beat Argentina, and Japan also came back to beat Germany today.
Yeah, I mean, and Sani, we're going into this game on the back of that win against Switzerland. A very good win. We played well, we dominated, we created chances, and we won by 2-0. Before that game, I must admit, I included, didn't really think that we could do anything. But that game has raised expectations. Are we going into tomorrow, looking at that game and thinking we definitely are not, we shouldn't be considering ourselves too much of an underdogs anymore? How much of that game you expect to influence what will happen on the field tomorrow?
I think based on that game in Switzerland, perhaps we should even expect more. I say we should even expect more because we didn't have some of the top stars in the team like Partey and Kudus playing. And if they come into the mix, it, further uplifts the team. So that would make you really, really confident. But I have to insist that we are not playing against a small team. We are playing with the big hitters in world football, and we have to be quietly optimistic. We should not go ahead of ourselves in saying that, there have been some few surprises in the tournament so far. Saudi Arabia, I've just come off the phone from some of the friends of mine working within the federation. In Saudi, they are really, really happy, but they are also telling us the same thing that you don't have to underrate any team. Don't think that we did it, so by default, you are also going to do it. You have to work for it. And I think that we've got the guys who know and understand what it takes. This evening, Sule Muntari was here to speak with the lads, and the words of encouragement of the history he also brings to the team and the way he addressed the boys shows that the boys are really, really keen. They were listening attentively to what he said. The CAF president was actually also here. And to get these high-level people coming here to tell you that we are all behind you is something that will keep the lads thinking that we must not let these people down.
But that's very interesting. I'll come back to this CAF connection because I get a sense from what you're saying that there's a sense there that Ghana possibly again, as we did in 2010, maybe carrying the African flag in this. I'll come back to that and whether that possibly will begin to weigh on the boys. But let me bring in a man who is closest to the boys, Henry Asantichum. Henry, great to have you joining us from Qatar. Even before we talk about the Black Stars, How excited are you? Are you nervous? Are you excited? Are you pumped up? What is the feeling among the management team? Because you guys are putting a lot together here. It all comes down to the next few hours in this first game. What is the mood there in camp?
Well, thank you, Evans. It's been a long journey, a journey which began on the March 29th when we beat Nigeria in Abu Dhabi, or when we drew with Nigeria, okay, and qualified at the expense of the Super Eagles. We've come a long way. In between time, we've played some AFCON qualifiers, we've played some international friendlies, and the last of those friendlies was against Switzerland last week, Thursday in Abu Dhabi. A lot of thinking has gone into planning, team preparation, player call-up, player selection, technical decisions here and there. So we're just hoping that all the hard work that has been put into, getting this team together would actually pay off on the field in the game against Portugal. It is different. I am always calm when it gets to situations like this. I have never been nervous on such occasions. I try as much as possible to do away with the pressure and just be focused and concentrated on the games. So yes, we've been looking ahead to this game on November 24. It's finally here. We are a few hours away. Just before I came indoors, I was with Mohamed Salisu, and I shared a joke with him. I asked if he was even ready to step onto the pitch in the next 1 hour. He said, yeah, okay now. It is my job. Anytime I am called upon, I am ready to play, So such is the mentality of some of these players. I think they have done very, very well by, conducting themselves well, respecting the authority, and following proceedings keenly, and also following the instructions from the various heads. Here I'm referring to the technical department of the team. So we are excited to be here, and we are all patiently waiting for tomorrow.
In terms of
Evans,
yes.
Just before you come in.
Yes.
Evans, just before you come in, I think I'll have to subject Henry's calmness, to the highest scrutiny, because I was with Henry in Nigeria at the Mushuda Biola Stadium when Henry made a 60-meter dash, the fastest in his life, when the referee whistled that it was over and Ghana had qualified. I have never seen Henry running that fast. I can imagine what was going through him before that really happened. And he remembers that. He was running, Evans. So I'm not too sure he's that calm. Anyway, it's up to you to test that. Yeah.
Maybe that was a special occasion, the pressure, okay. the 70,000 spectators, the intimidation, that atmosphere was something else. I think we were all happy. Some of us who were on the bench were waiting for the final whistle. And so I started my countdown on the 84th minute. And so every single second I had to refer to that watch on my wrist. And then when the referee added the 4 minutes added time, I still couldn't wait for that to come to an end. Eventually we sailed through and were able to qualify, and it couldn't have been any better. So that is gone. When you have such a feat against a sworn rival, an arch rival for that matter in Nigeria, is always a different feeling.
Yeah, and Henry, quickly, since you're in camp, let's update our audience on the health of our players. All 24 fit, ready to go, right?
Yes, that's the situation here. All 23 outfield players and 3 goalkeepers, they are all healthy. Maybe we are lucky. Some injuries have been reported in other camps.
Yeah.
But on that note, let me say that our medical team have been up to the task. They have done absolutely magnificent working on the condition of these players. Dr. Pambo, Jonathan Korte, and all the physios, they have done incredibly well to keep our players in sound and in strong conditions going into this match. It is not easy. When we were in Abu Dhabi, for instance, the weather was 28, 30, 32 degrees. And then even when we played against Switzerland, it was 33 degrees hot in the afternoon. But we went through that unscathed. The following day we had training, and I think it's also good that when we arrived here, the technical team decided to give the players one off day, which really helped them to rest their limbs, and then we began training the following day. So we are all good.
Okay.
In terms of injury concerns, there is none to report.
Okay, great. Gary, on the back of that, now we know our players are fit and ready to go. Let's get to some of the specifics now. We got a hint of how we might play when we played against Switzerland. High intensity, high press, quick passing, and there's a lot of fluidity in the front three and those behind them. What do you expect on the back of that game going into tomorrow in terms of how we may be setting up? Considering that game we didn't have Partey in, I understand you can bet now Partey will come back into play. What's your own assessment of how this might play out tomorrow in terms of how we may line up and play?
Yes. So I've said and written extensively about one of the most exciting things about this Black Stars team, Evans, being how predictably unpredictable the team has been for a while now. Since Otuado has been coach, we have barely, if ever, repeated starting 11s, barely, if ever. And that is not because the coach and his technical team don't want to, but it's rather a function of, the number of call-ups we've made from game to game, different call-ups, so different personnel, sometimes injuries, and then also because he literally is trying the best fit. It's never been more so, especially in the aftermath of the September qualifiers, with the introduction of the binationals or the dual nationals or those who switch nationalities and brought in an injection of quality into the side. It's been difficult for the coach to have a good run of games. Indeed, he's not the only one, Evans. I mean, all around the world, it's been difficult for all national teams to get any window to play friendlies and test themselves. And because of that, the bottom line is that we do not know. And when we say this in the news bulletins, people think, we the journalists are hiding something, Evans, that we know and we don't want to say. We genuinely do not know. As an example, maybe Henry is here. Maybe because Henry is closer to the team, he might have been one of the very few people who could have predicted the starting 11 that Otuado put out against Switzerland. I don't think there were more than 4 people in the world.
Gary, I've lost the audio from you, Gary.
Can you hear me?
I can now, yes.
Can you hear me?
I can now, yes.
Yes. I don't think that there were more than 4 people in the world who could have predicted that lineup against Switzerland. That gives you a sense of how new the team is, but how exciting. There's a mystery around the team that, Evans, we are all waiting to see who will start for Ghana tomorrow. When was the last time we had that? But it is not that we are waiting for who will start for Ghana tomorrow and we are afraid, but we are happily excited because, look, and I have said, Evans, I don't know if you this is my opinion. The 2006 team, the 2010 team, the 2014 team, this is the best crop of 26 or 23 players, player for player, we've ever taken to the World Cup. That is my personal opinion.
Wow. And you mean better than the 2010?
Yes, we don't yet have a team. The 2010 had a team because, they had gone to the AFCON and done amazing, gone to the final. But player for player, I don't think we have assembled any squad from 2006 till now. That is my personal opinion. I'm sure there are a lot of people who will agree.
So hold on. Let me test that.
Every team, yes.
Let me test that. Let me test that with Sandy. Sandy, you agree with that?
Yes, I do agree with Gary completely. And I said this from the premise that in 2006, 2010, 2014, we had fantastic players starting. But the bench was wishy-washy, let's be honest. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But now, in every position, you have 2 players competing and you are confused as to which player is the starting player. And let's just do this thing quickly. At the right back position, you have Dennis Odwe, and Tariq Lamptey. Left back, Baba Rahman, Gideon Mensah. In those same positions, Amate can play on the right
Ali
hand side,
Seidu.
that's right back.
Ali Seidu.
And yes, and then Salisu can also even play in that position. Now go to the center backs. Who are we starting with? There's Jiku, there's Salisu, there's Amate, there's Edu. So, the midfield, it's the same. In each and every position, it's the same. And when you watch Otoado, he doesn't let out any secret. Yesterday, I was having, a thought about which team would start. When he got to the training ground, he just shuffled the cards. You won't even note what he's trying to do. He's keeping a lot of things very close to his chest. And I think that the Ghanaian media must understand that football has advanced to the level that when authorities, the FA, for instance, says that you need to take your time before we bring our starting lineup, or you don't need to see certain aspects of our training schedule, and people don't understand. Even from the pictures that you see, people wearing beeps and not wearing beeps, some people can, infer from it and say this is the starting lineup. Or, you bring your starting lineup 3-4 hours before a match. You are shooting yourself in the foot. From my work with CAF, I know that immediately, the law is that immediately the teams arrive in the stadium, that is 1 hour, 30 minutes before the kickoff time, they have to present their starting lineup list to the general coordinator. Now, what happens is that when they have these lists, within 1 hour, 30 minutes, a coach can immediately, based on your starting lineup, change his tactics. I've seen time without number. You ask a team, what is your formation that you are using for this match? They will give you a formation. They go to the match, they will not use the formation. Why? Because they've seen the starting lineup and they've changed their formation. So these are some of the three tricks we must appreciate and we must understand. And I like the way Otto is playing everything close to his chest. Why do we want to know everything before? It's like putting your armory in front of the enemy before the war begins. So let's understand some of these difficulties and some of these modern things in football and appreciate the fact that they are doing some terrific job. It's it's gone past midnight, getting close to 1 a.m. Getting close to 1 a.m. and the technical team are still meeting.
Wow, I see. I mean, I see. Wow. So that tells you a lot, right? I mean, you think that they should have closed this by now, Sonny?
No, I think that they are working to get every tiny detail right. This is what they are doing. This is what they are doing. I think they are doing a terrific job. They have good video analysts and good coaches surrounding them. So everybody is trying to, dot their I's and cross their T's. They are doing everything possible that we can get a result against Portugal. And I will not be surprised. I'm not saying we should get ahead of ourselves. I will not be surprised if we are among one of the teams that brings down one of the big nations.
Yeah. I mean, it's good that you made that point. And sitting here, and it's good for Ghanaians to begin to appreciate how much work the team and the coaching staff are putting into this game tomorrow. We think it's just we're going to have fun tomorrow and, dress up. But it's almost 1 a.m., and the coaching staff are still meeting, strategizing ahead of the game. And they've had a lot of time to prepare, but they're still doing this. Let me bring in...
The media officer is seated there. It's close to 1 a.m. He's not asleep.
How he slept.
Yeah, well... Let me bring in George. George,
I'm now working on languages for our players ahead of tomorrow's game. The host broadcaster would want to know the preference of languages for all the 26 players and the technical team. So
I see.
I need to furnish them with those details and many more, before we go to bed. But speaking of which, the kind of hard work that the technical team puts into, I wouldn't want to share some of the details here, but they meet at least 3 times a day, at least. three
Wow.
times a day.
And this is in between training sessions, you mean?
Yeah. In between meals and training sessions, they meet at least 3 times a day.
I see.
Video analysis, technical meetings, medical meetings. Every department head needs to submit reports on daily basis.
I see.
And this is something they started way back in March, and they've continued that through.
I mean, you mean you're still meeting 3 times a week, even in Qatar? I mean, because I'm wondering, I thought this only happens in club football. I mean, this is a national team. The Portuguese team is set. They are not. It's not like they are playing every now and then that you have to be analyzing. It's set. I mean, so what is it?
But the difference is that for Portugal, they've had this team for quite some time. They recently won the Euros. There was Ronaldo, there was Bernardo Silva, there was Rui Patricio, there was Rafael Guerrero, there was Rafael Leao, so they kind of have a team already in place, but we are now trying to mix the old and the new with specific reference to, even just as Gary mentioned, some new faces who have come into the team. Now the meetings have nothing to do with whether we have a young team or we have an old team. It is the culture of the technical team. They pay attention to detail. They don't want to leave nothing to chance. They just want to make sure the right things are done. And so I think that is why they meet regularly to study our team as well and to study their opponents.
But very interesting. George, this question was supposed to be an easy one, but from everything I've heard from Gary and Sunny, it's not going to be an easy one. They've said that this is possibly the strongest team we've had man for man. And it's difficult to predict. However, George, there must certainly be some guaranteed starters tomorrow. I mean, tell me, who can you bet will start tomorrow against Portugal? There certainly must be guaranteed starters in every team.
Okay, so I just started by shaking my head. I'm that close to it, rather he can be really, he pays attention to detail, so he can surprise you. Who's going to be the real starter? Maybe he definitely starts in post. I maybe try to be cautious on that, I don't know, because the balance of the team is such that they've been so close. The performance of Sally is who plays football for racing around, and even that could push it to a bit, but then I can say, yeah, you're on the day you need Thomas Partey. I think maybe Thomas Partey is definitely going to start. But even when I come to Mohamed Kudus, there is Kofi Tre, and easily the technical team can go for one and leave the other. When you go to the right back, yeah, maybe Tariq Lamptey gets the start, but it could also be Aliou Seydou, it could be Dennis Odoi. So it's really difficult. If I'll give you players I think will start, then maybe Thomas Partey, then maybe Atizigi. I can't go beyond that. I can't really go beyond that. Even the two I'm giving you, it's still subject to what formation we're going to play with. Because if it's going to be a 3-back, 4 in the midfield, and 3 up front, it will require setting players. If it's going to be 3-back, 5 in the middle, 2 up front, it will require something else. If it's 4 at the back, 1 in front, 4 and another 1 up front, it's a different formation altogether. And if you're going to play a 4-2-3 and 1 in front, it's going to be different guys going to call out. So I can actually now just make the point for Thomas Partey definitely starting. And Atizigi. Maybe if I want to add anything to it, I say, okay, Thomas Partey starts, but it's not a guarantee at all. So I just go with the 2, Thomas Partey, Atizigi for now. The rest is open. I don't know if anyone on the call has more information.
Well, I mean, so Gary, so I get a sense that Thomas Partey is our only constant here, and then the goalkeeper, Ziggy. But then apart from that...
I would actually go Partey. I mean, yeah. I would also go... I'll also pick 2, Daniel Amate and Thomas Partey, not Atizigi. I sort of think Amate is a constant in the team, but as we have said, Charlie, by this time, he's probably talking to Daniel Amate and explaining to him why tactically against Portugal, normally you would start Daniel, but because of this and that, I don't want you to start so that this, and because I've identified you have this weakness in your game, and I want this other player to counteract. Because I mean, it's very possible that we can have a Salisu, Jiku, and then somebody on the right back and on the right
Edu
back.
could even begin as well.
Edu could, yeah. That's where we are.
Okay.
So I would say Thomas Partey is the short starter, and my head will say Daniel Amati.
Okay, but so then that's good. That will keep the Portuguese guessing. But then let me push further on this. Because we are building into the game, people need to understand what is going to happen. I mean, even for you, experts who are around the team can't figure it out. You can imagine what it will mean for us back home, mere mortals, hoping to watch. So help us navigate this. What, based on what you know of Portugal and what you know of our team, what will be the best way to approach tomorrow's match? Let's start from there, and then we can then put in names into that picture. Gary, let me start with you first. What do you think will be the best way to approach the Portugal game?
It's a very interesting question, because that will leave us starting with one huge question. With Cristiano Ronaldo starting or without Cristiano Ronaldo starting? Mm-hmm. As a Manchester United fan, you know, Evans, that there is a system you play when United start Ronaldo.
True.
And there's a system you play when Ronaldo does not start.
True.
So that is where you begin. And as much as they are guessing about our starting 11, I'm sure Coach Otto and his lieutenants are also plotting those ones out, because we are talking about a Ronaldo who is not guaranteed a start also. His coach said after they beat Nigeria, and guess what? When they beat Nigeria, they were absolutely fantastic without Cristiano Evans. Yeah. They were pairing, their transitions were beautiful, and they were electric and on point. Will the coach say that, you know what, I like what I'm seeing, and tell Cristiano nicely, with all the headlines and things around you, let me bench you, so that you come and damage the Ghanaians in the second half? That will mean something else, because then it will mean that we need players, right, that can match them boot for boot on the transitions. We will need players who can fill that midfield. That is where Otuado may likely go 5 in the midfield, because George likes to use the word technicians. The Portuguese have really gifted technical players. And if they will beat us on anything, it is with, the marginal 10%, the marginal 5% that player A has over, the Portuguese player A has over the Ghanaian player B, and so on. And so I would not want to disappoint you, but I'd have to disappoint you that, look, I am not aware of what Portugal will do, because they themselves have not had a set starting 11 for the last 4 or 5 games, because they build their starting 11s based on the kind of opposition. And Evans, before I hand over to the...
Oh, goodness.
A lot of teams at the World Cup are having this dilemma. Can you hear me?
I can, yes. I can, yes.
Can you hear me?
I can.
A lot of teams at this World Cup, because of the peculiar nature of international football in this very World Cup. Evans, I said in my first submission that very few teams are set coming into this World Cup. That is why you are going to see a lot of surprises. Indeed, there are a lot of teams that are going to be settled from the round of 16 going, because almost nobody has had a very good, as it were, pre-season coming into the World Cup.
Yeah.
And only about 3 teams that I can count have a set and a team that have a chemistry, have a telepathy, and so on. Maybe 3 or 4 teams out of all the 32 teams. So I don't want to sound like, hey, so these sports analysts, every question they don't know, then what do they know? But that is what this World Cup is about. Okay. Because you look at our colleagues from other countries, and they cannot similarly say who they are starting 11s or get it right and so on, because of the same reason.
I mean, Sani, let me rephrase that question. Same to you. So I was asking earlier, what's the best way to approach tomorrow's game? Let me break it down. If you watch Saudi Arabia against Argentina, They approached the game by going after Argentina from the first whistle. They went after them, harassed them, play a high line. Argentina wanted to break the high line. They were offside a few times, but they kept the high line even the second half and won. You can do that against Portugal, or we can sit back and be cautious and break. Question, which of those options should we be adopting against Portugal tomorrow?
I think we should take the fight to them. They are mortals like us, even though they've got some world-class players that we have to respect. But they are mortals like us, and we should also let them have a taste of our medicine. If we say we want to sit back, they can press and press and press. But if we take the game to them like we did against Switzerland, I think we have an opportunity to create a big history. So I don't think we should sit back. We should not soak the pressure. We should also let them feel our pressure. We've got talented players who can make something out of nothing. If you have Partey around the box, he can hurt you at any time. Mohamed Kudus can hurt you. Inaki Williams can hurt you. We should let them have a taste of this medicine.
Okay, George, do you agree? Is that approach best approach against Portugal tomorrow?
Yeah, because, yes, I agree, because Portugal would love it if we stayed back. They would love it, and they will pass the ball around, and they would ultimately get to, win the game. I think we have to take it up to them, because I think we can match Portugal in defense and in that midfield. It's only up front that they've got slightly, technical players who have been doing it at the very, very top. But look, Portugal are a team that really, really focus a lot on wing play. And they would love to whip in the crosses. They would love to take a lot of pop shots, knowing that we lost our goalkeeper number 1 and number 2. That we should expect a lot from them. But I think that if we take the game out to them, we take the game to them, we'll take the fight to them, we'll give ourselves a great chance. Because we also have got some fantastic wingers on the right and on the left who have got a lot of pace. In the middle, we have players like Thomas Partey Salis who can tack around, who can give very, very good passes. Technicians like Kopitre who can also keep on progress on the ball. And if the right pass gets Inaki Williams, he can also score from that angle. What we'll also have to be careful about, though, is how we are going to be defending. Of course, since we are taking the fight to them, we'll have to be mindful of what we do, especially in the left back and right back positions. That's if we're going for a platform. There will be a lot of cover from the 2 central defensive midfielders that we're going to have. Any option from what I've seen is going to be great, whether it's Elisha, Thomas Partey, or Thomas Partey Salis is going to be great. But we'll have to be very, very careful out there, because we have fullbacks who love to Moreau. They want to get into the area to try and add to. Whether it's Baba Rahman, whether it's Tariq Lamptey, they all have to bump forward. So it's important what we do behind. And I'm sure the technical team will then decide whether they would like to go for 3-back. 3-back may be dangerous because of the wing plays that the Portuguese love to. So maybe we can start with a 4, and as the game goes on, we can change. The thing about this sport is it gives the technical team so much room to tweak the tactics while the game goes on. So we can start on paper with the 3-5-2 formation or a 4-4-2 formation, but really the in-game tactics these days is what wins the game. So it's how to turn the game around. And if you look at this sport, if you call any player up off the bench, he's able to come into the game and give the technical team another dimension to what we are doing. That's what makes us very, very scary in this one. But I think we should take the fight to Portugal. We have what it takes to match them, one-on-one. We just have to be very careful. We don't lose concentration in the opening minutes of the game and in the dying enders of the game. This is where African teams have been found and wanting, and we have to be very careful about that.
Yeah, and Henry, I know you can't talk tactics, but you've had the boys and the lads. I think the consensus there is don't sit back. The approach should be front foot. Quickly, I don't know what you make of that. As a spokesperson, being close to the team, do you get a sense that that those preparing the team share that view?
Well, I'm sure in their meetings, a number of proposals will be made. I remember when we went to play Nigeria in Abuja, in one of the meetings before the starting 11 was named, it was 2 against 1. So the head coach decided to side with the other two, and then that is why you realize that during the halftime break we came back with 2 straight substitutions. He reverted to his original plan, So sometimes some of these things happen when the technical team meet. They build consensus and then they all agree on what to do for the game. I strongly believe that from the observations they have made, the videos they have watched, they will be able to name the right personnel to start the match. Sometimes it's not just about who starts the game, but it's about the arsenal you have on the bench as well. It's about the game changers who can come on and make the difference, which of course was evident in the friendly match we played against Switzerland. So all these concerns are healthy. It's a very positive discourse we're having here. I believe they've also considered some of these, concerns or some of these suggestions, but in the end, the right decision will be made for the team.
Let's talk about the X factor quickly as we wrap up, which is beyond the game. There are things that get players very motivated and pumped up. Sani hinted us earlier that the CAF president had been there to talk to them and encourage them. We are reading reports now that the president of our country, they may also be flying there to talk to the players. I mean, have you seen any of that? And how is that feeding into getting the players really motivated and excited? Is the president there already, by the way?
I do not have that information yet,
Okay.
but I know he's on his way to the camp. He will meet the team before we play the Portugal game. I'm sure the confirmation will come in the early hours of the day. That notwithstanding, the Youth and Sports Minister, Honorable Yusuf Mustafa, was here yesterday. He actually arrived yesterday. And so he has also spent quite some time with the players. It didn't take that long because they were just about to leave for training. Suleiman Tare has been here as well. Jojo Wolocott, who couldn't make the squad because of injury, has been in camp since this morning. And then this evening, we also had our former player, Sule Ali Muntari, visiting. So I think they are fine. They are okay. I like the focus level of the players and the fact that they do not want any external factors to influence their approach to the game. And that is what we have always done in terms of getting them ready for the opening match. Opening games are always very, very important. When you start on a sound foot, you are able to go all the way. So we do not want to gamble at all. We don't want to give chances. We want to start as in a better way, as good as possible, so that at least we'll have a clearer picture going forward.
Okay, now let's do the thing that sports journalists hate to do. Henry, give me a scoreline.
You want to kill me, Evans?
Yes, I do. Give me a scoreline.
I unfortunately I am not good at.
No. Just give me a scoreline. How difficult is it? 2-1, 1-0, 1-1.
All I know is that Ghana will win.
Okay, Gary, give me a scoreline.
Ghana win.
No, but stop that. I mean, our padding Henry. Our padding Henry, fine. He's a spokesperson. He's being diplomatic, but you cannot do that. Give me a scoreline.
1-0.
Okay, good. George?
I have heard that from two other people.
Okay.
I was going to say I'm the spokesperson, but I think there'll be goals. I think there'll be goals. I'm looking at 2-1. 2-1 Ghana win.
2-1 Ghana. And Sani?
Yeah,
Yeah, your scoreline?
I think I'll agree with Gary.
1-0.
Yes.
Okay.
Close margin.
Okay, so
So we are giving the investors tips on how to invest.
No. I mean, Evans, a special word there to the football investors. I know it's been really, really tough. I mean, after Argentina, lost to Saudi Arabia and Japan. Oh, wow.
Yes, Japan, yeah.
Germany. It's tough, man. It's tough for them.
Anyway.
So hopefully the 1-0, 2-1 way.
Yeah, I mean, from what Henry said, it looks like the consensus is around 1-0. Henry, right?
I have heard that from a number of people here in the camp. But
Yeah, unfortunately,
unfortunately, I do not have an opinion. So
Okay,
We'll see
great.
what happens tomorrow.
Okay, I'll return tomorrow at the end of the day and see which of them got it right. Enjoy the rest of the evening, people. We are rooting for the Black Stars tomorrow. 1-0, we win. Enjoy the rest of the evening.